Hey guys, welcome out to the shop. Today we got a nice little project restoration that we're going to be doing, and it is on this Stanley level. I believe it's a Stanley level number 5. Overall good condition, which is rare for my area. Usually whenever I see a level, it's usually broken or something is missing. And on this one, I think the only things that are missing are 2 screws right here. This is a brass and cherry level. All of the floats are working correctly. So we're going to get this torn apart and get this fixed up and looking like new again, so we can put it in operation here in the shop. First thing that we're going to do to get this thing restored is pretty much just break it all apart and get any kind of tape or anything off that is stuck on here. This is from the antique shop that put tape on here. This level was only $10, and it was a pretty good deal. I've seen them at the shops before for $30+, and they seem to sit for a little while and nobody wants to pay that much. But this one was in very good condition. It's a little beat up around the edges, but nothing too bad. And right here is the portion that is allowing the second little level bubble to come out. So we got to get that out of here as well. It's held in by 3 screws. It's taken a little bit of patience. I scraped around the edge of here, and then I used this tiny screwdriver, but I was finally able to get this to work itself free. And I believe I'm going to be able to slide. There we go. And nothing was broken. And you can see right there, which is really neat, that somebody just used a drill bit to drill out the spot for that. So that was a very simple part of the construction. Just drilled all the way through, and then you can see the tips of the drill bits. And this was all cleared out as well. It's very interesting to see it all recessed in here on the whole thing, even the ends. So that's pretty neat. So to clean the level part, I've got some turpentine right here, and I'm going to be using 1000 grit sandpaper as well. This is a wet dry sandpaper, and the turpentine really gets off a lot of the nasty residue stuff that sometimes gets on these old wooden tools. And then I'm using 1000 grit sandpaper because I don't want to really scuff anything up. I'm just trying to take off the outer shell of all the stuff that's on here. So I'm just going to work on getting some of this sanded down and mainly smoothed down so there's no real major bumps or anything like that in here. You guys can see that the turpentine's already soaking into the wood. It does a really good job at opening up the pores on the old wooden tools. I got all the little paint spackles off of this. One thing about old tools, for some reason, they always come with paint splattered on them. And I'm going to go over it one last time after this dries. As you can see, some of the turpentine's already starting to dry. So I'm going to let this dry out again, and then I'll go over it one last time with dry 1000 grit sandpaper, and it'll get it that super smooth finish. And on this back side right over here, it's crack is starting to come apart. So we're going to try to blow some wood glue in there and get some clamps on there to squeeze it up nice and tight, so that's all back into one piece. And then we got to work on all of the brass pieces back here. So while the level is drying back out, I'm working on all the brass pieces, and there's a powdery hard substance holding in the bubble and the sight glass. I don't really know what that is. I gotta work on a little bit of research on that, but I need to get this piece off. So what I've done is I have ground down the pin, and we're gonna end up using a small little punch or something to get that piece out of there, so that I can get the top off. It'll make this entire thing a lot easier to work on. Might need to grind it down just a little bit more. Now I need to go ahead and probably get a punch and knock that pin out. So I soaked some PB Blast on here as well, and was able to knock that pin out. And then we can flip this out now, and you guys see that white stuff that's in there. I don't know exactly what that is, but I need to do some research and try to figure that part out. But it's coming out with a pick, and the reason why I want to get it out is I want to be able to clean up everything. I don't want to just clean up a little bit and try to get by. I want to make sure that this is all cleaned up and ready for use for another, I don't even know, many years. So that's why I'm going this far with this. Alright guys, so when you're dealing with this level, and after you get the little sight glass out, there's going to be this white stuff. It's called parts plaster, or parts for plaster. Or plaster of parts, I mean. It's you can pick it up at a like Walmart, stuff like that, and it comes in this box. And this is going to be way more than we need. But trying to chip it out with a screwdriver or something like that is not going to work. So what you need to do is fill up like a little container. I got this little magnet tray right here, and you need to dip the ends in, and this is white vinegar, and this will help break apart the plaster. And we're just gonna gently scrape across it, and it'll eventually start letting it break apart. And you can see all the white stuff in here already. I already did the smaller sight glass. So it took about 5 or so minutes to let it kind of dissolve, and then it started just falling apart. But I do need to keep this green paper, so I do not want to ruin that. Even though it's getting wet, I don't want to scrape it and tear that apart. Alright, so there you can see that all of the plaster, or at least most of it, has been cleaned out of there. Let it soak for a little bit, scraped a little bit, soaked it, and then kept on switching back and forth. Now the one thing about this is that we did use white vinegar, so it's an acid, and it will eat away your metal. So I'm going to go ahead and get these rinsed off, and then go ahead and get them cleaned up, and start cleaning up the parts so that they are no longer all rusty. So working on the brass pieces, as you can see, one half is done, the other half is not. I got a mixture over here, and it's baking soda, vinegar, and a little bit of water. And what I tried first is using just a toothbrush to really scrub on, except the tarnish is just way too thick on this thing. So I'm using 1000 grit sandpaper. If I had 3000 grit, I'd probably use that over the 1000 just because I don't want to cause any scratches or anything like that. But I'm going back over it with some steel wool on top of everything, and it's cleaning up very nice. It's got some scratches in there from original use, but it's not taking off any of the lettering or any of the other lines, as you guys can see. So even the center line is still in there. So I'm working on the end piece right now, and as you can see, it still has some of the tarnish on there. And what I've been doing is just taking it and putting it on the wood. Each piece I'm putting it back on the level and just seeing what it looks like, seeing how the patina matches the actual wood. I can't get the wood to look brand new unless I redid the whole entire thing. So I don't want these brass pieces to look absolutely brand new. So what I'm doing is just kind of eyeballing it up and see what it looks like, seeing if the patina on the brass actually matches what the level would look like. So for this piece right here, this one I am happy with, even though it still has a little bit of the tarnish up on the top and near the bottom. It still is shining through with the brass. People will know that it's brass, and that'll be good for me. So here are all the brass pieces after I cleaned them up as far as I want them to go. I do want them to have some of the patina and stuff left on them, some of the tarnish, just so that it keeps some of that age. I don't want it to look brand new still. So we've gotten some of that cleaned up. And behind the scenes, I've been working on the level. One thing that this level had was a separation point between the outside and the inside edge. And so what I've done is I've squirted glue right along where the separation line was. And then I took an air line and I gently blew the glue down into the crack. And you guys can kind of see where it was cracked right here. And it blew the glue down in between. And I've had this clamped up here for a couple hours now. We're going to take the clamp off and get the glue removed. So the best way to get all this cleaned up is going to be using this cabinet scraper, and that'll clean up the glue and make sure that all the surface is level together. And you can see right here is where that separation was, and it's all back together now. So we can go ahead and start reassembling this level. So now we're on one of the more crucial little quick parts of this project, and it's actually getting the sight glasses back in and all put together. And like I said, we got this plaster of parts right here, and we need to mix up a batch of this, and I got this little container, and I've already got some water in here. And what it is 2 parts of this plaster for 1 part of the water, of cold water. So I've got that cold water already put in here, and I'm just doing it with a spoon. So I've got 4 scoops of spoon, and we're just gonna do the best we can. Trying to get it all leveled off. We're only gonna do 6 scoops because I feel like I'm putting a little bit more than I should in here in each spoonful. So we'll mix this together and get a nice little slurpee going on and see what it looks like. See if it's thick enough. I don't feel like it's thick enough. So we're gonna add another spoon. And that's all we're gonna do now. Alright, so I've got a much thicker consistency of this plaster of parts now, and I'm just barely getting any onto the spoon, and I'm just gonna drip it into the very corner of the part so that it does not run. Because you don't want this falling all over the green. Alright guys, so we gotten everything all reattached, all the brass pieces, the little ends, everything is on, and I really like it. I'm glad I didn't take everything and just clean it completely off, because the level itself is not looking brand new. So I'm glad that I left it at that point. So and everything works as it should, so that's always a plus as well. And now the next thing that we need to do is you can level it if you want. I'm not going to worry about that right now because I'm not planning on actually using this. This is more going to be a decorative piece out here in the shop. But one thing that you can do is your adjustment screws are right here and right here, and that's how you get it all level. And if you want to go ahead and do that, you need to find a level spot. So you have to use another level to make this level. So that's how you do it. It's very simple. May take a little bit of tweaking, but not too bad. And now my favorite part is the actual finish that we're going to be putting on. It's going to be something simple, just some boiled linseed oil. I thought about doing a shellac finish, but I don't want the shellac all over the brass stuff right now. I'm not sure whether or not that's good for brass. If you guys know, leave it down and let me know. But I'm just going to put some on a rag and wipe it all over the level. And we're just going to let this stuff really soak in, especially on the bottom where we had to trim some of it off. Over the next month or so, I'll be putting a couple different coats of this boiled linseed oil on here just to make sure that it is saturated enough. So as you guys can see, the bottom is really taking it in. That is it. That's where we're at right now, guys. We're done with it, and I'm very happy with the outcome of this and how it looks. I'm really glad with the I'm really happy with the brass and everything like that. So we're just gonna let this sit around for a while, dry, and then reapply multiple coats on here. Hope you guys enjoyed this little restoration. If you guys did, give it that thumbs up button. Check out all the other restorations I've done. Again, this is a Stanley not hand plane. This is Stanley level. It's got the number 5 marked on it. I don't know if that's what number it is or if somebody just punched that on there, but this may be like a Stanley number 5. I haven't looked it up. Haven't really looked into these too much. Just found it at the antique shop and decided to pick it up. So thanks guys for watching today. If you guys are new, hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys on the next video.